Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to solve a mystery that has probably frustrated every single plant lover at some point. You see this absolutely stunning orchid online, you buy it, you wait and wait for it to bloom, and when it finally opens up, it looks nothing like the picture. So what's the deal? Let's get into it.
Right, so here's the scenario. You found an orchid with these perfect, vibrant flowers in a photo. You bring it home, you baby it for months, maybe even a whole year, and then the bloom comes, and it's a huge letdown. The color's kind of washed out, the shape is a little weird. What went wrong?
Well, here's the good news. You can take a deep breath, because in most cases, you weren't scammed. It's not about somebody trying to pull a fast one on you. It's all about biology. It really just comes down to the two very, very different ways that orchids are created. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this whole thing, we need to understand how orchids are propagated. Think of it like this. It's a tale of two plants. You've got the perfect duplicate, and then you've got the unique sibling.
And this slide, this is the absolute core of it. Is the plant you're buying a Mericlone, which is an exact genetic copy, basically an identical twin, or is it a seedling, a unique individual, more like a brother or sister in a big family? Trust me, this one little difference changes absolutely everything.
So let's look at the first one, Mericlones. They're made through asexual reproduction, which is, well, it's pretty much cloning. They take a tiny piece of tissue from one amazing parent plant and use it to grow thousands of perfect little replicas. Every single one is going to be genetically identical to that original parent. And on the other hand, you've got seedlings. These are made the old-fashioned way, through sexual reproduction. You've got pollen from one parent fertilizing another, and the seeds that result grow into brand new, genetically unique plants. Just like human siblings, they share DNA from the same parents, but no two are ever exactly alike.
So let's dig into seedlings a little more. Honestly, the best way to think about buying a seedling is that you're buying a genetic lottery ticket. You know who the parents are, sure, but what the baby's gonna look like, that is a total surprise.
I love this phrase from the source material we're looking at. It describes buying a seedling as a sibling roll of the dice. It's perfect, right? Every single seed, even from the same seed pod, has a totally different mix of genes. So you really, truly never know what you're going to get when that flower finally opens.
Now, here's where it gets interesting, because you're making a trade-off. The pros are pretty exciting. This is where all the new, cool orchid varieties come from. Plus, they add genetic diversity, and they're usually cheaper. But, and it's a big but, the cons are real. It's totally unpredictable, it might take way longer to bloom, and yeah, that final flower could be a real bummer. All right, let's flip the coin and talk about the Mericlone. If a seedling is a lottery ticket, a Mericlone is a sure thing. It is all about predictable, repeatable perfection. What you see in that photo is exactly what you should get in your pot. This is the whole promise of a Mericlone. You find an award-winning plant, one with these huge, fragrant, perfectly shaped flowers, and you can replicate it thousands of times. Every single one of those clones carries the exact same genetic blueprint to deliver that same amazing performance. It's a guarantee. So the bottom line is, with a Mericlone, you get that predictable, reliable flower, which is amazing for collectors. But there are downsides. They're almost always more expensive, and by creating thousands of identical plants, you get this monoculture. So if one plant is susceptible to a disease, they all are. Plus, there's a super rare, but still possible, risk of a weird mutation happening during the cloning. Okay, we've got the science down. Now let's get practical. How can you take all this knowledge and go from being a confused buyer to an absolute pro at the orchid nursery? Telling them apart is actually pretty simple. It really just comes down to 3 little steps. First, and this is the most important one, you have to become a label detective. Second, the price tag is usually a huge clue. And third, hey, when in doubt, just ask the person selling it. And this right here is your biggest clue, the name on the tag. A Mericlone will have a specific clone name in single quotes, like Summer Stars. You might even see some letters after it, like AM/AOS, which stands for an Award of Merit from the American Orchid Society. It's basically a stamp of approval. A seedling, on the other hand, will just be labeled as a cross between 2 parents with an X in the middle. Okay, so knowing all this, when does it actually make sense to buy that genetic lottery ticket? When should you go out and choose a seedling on purpose? You should totally go for a seedling if you love the thrill of the unknown. If you're a breeder hoping to discover something totally new and amazing, or maybe you're just on a budget and you're okay with the surprise, then a seedling is a fantastic, fun adventure. All right, so what about the other side? When is it actually worth paying that extra money for the perfect, predictable copy? When should you buy a Mericlone? A Mericlone is, without a doubt, your best bet when you've fallen head over heels for a specific flower in a picture and you want exactly that. If you're collecting famous, award-winning plants, or you just really value consistency and want a guaranteed bloomer, the Mericlone is the way to go.
And you know, that really is the main takeaway here. Once you understand this one simple difference, you're not a victim of bad luck anymore. You become an empowered buyer, someone who can make a choice that perfectly lines up with what you actually want. So we'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the difference between the guaranteed clone and the unique sibling, what are you going to choose for your next orchid? Are you going to go for guaranteed perfection, or are you going to take a chance on a beautiful gamble? The choice is all yours.